I think he hit the nail on the head. You know, when you look at the things Donnie does from a communication standpoint, the way he prepares, the way he identifies formations, and just his entire approach to practice and games. I mean, that's his thing. That's his niche. That's what makes him special. You know, so calling him the Peyton Manning is exactly right. He makes sure we're in the right spot at all times.
Have you ever heard him call him that before, like just out in practice or in a meeting or something like that?
Yeah, well, I've heard him reference Donnie as that before, and me and him have talked before, and he's referenced Donnie as that to me as well. And again, it's no surprise. Like I say, that's you hit the nail on the head with that one with Donnie. Well, you know, we're very fortunate right now because when you look at Malik, when you look at Manny, when you look at guys like Jamal Morris, Traylon Payne, we have depth there. You know, Malik and Manny being the two veteran guys returning, you know, have had a really good battle during camp. It's going to continue. I mean, camp isn't over and we still have 2 weeks before we play our first game. You know, both of those guys will play and play a lot, you know, and you'll see a rotation at every position, you know, when you just look at the depth of guys we have, which makes us very fortunate in our room right now. So, you know, it's still ongoing. I couldn't tell you who's going to be what right now, but look for both of them to play and contribute every day. It's it's been really fun to watch. You know, when you look at the foundation Coach BELK has laid, you know, when he took over the leadership of the defense, and even more impressive where you look at how our kids have taken it and ran with it, from holding each other accountable, from just adjusting to things on the fly. One thing about if you're a new player entering this program, you feel it and you learn really, really quickly what the standard is. You know, and so it doesn't take guys very long to fall in line on how we do things, and all that's player driven. You know, all of that is player driven. So our kids are competitive, they're hungry, they get after each other every single day. And then when the whistle is over and practice is over, they love each other like you've never seen. You know, so it's been really fun to watch and been really impressive. You know, his adjustment has been really good. The one thing that Jamal brings is versatility. You know, he's a guy that can play inside, he can play outside, he plays extremely well in space. He's a good blitzer and he's smart. You know, so since he's been here from spring ball to now, he's played Mike backer, he's played Sam backer, he's played Will backer. You know, he will contribute. He will be somebody that's going to help us stay competitive defensively, and especially in our room. And it'll be in a few different spots, you know, and because of how versatile he is, that makes Jamal extremely special for our defense. Yeah, most definitely. I think you can see a difference. You know, when you look at, I've been a part of some older teams, I've been a part of some younger teams, and when you look at our players, and again, just where they are right now, they've taken the foundation that's been laid, you know, from our leadership, Coach Hogue and defensively Coach BELK, and they've run with it. Again, they set the standards. It's a lot of accountability things that are going on a day-to-day that our players take amongst themselves. You know, as coaches, we're not having to police a lot of things because the players handle it. As coaches, we're not having to, you know, tell guys, make sure you're running on and off the field, or make sure you're running to the ball, or make sure you drop your hands. The players handle it. And that's the beauty of our team right now, is we have a bunch of older guys. We have some guys with a lot of experience. We have some guys that are young and extremely talented, but everybody has fallen in line to the standard, you know, and that's continuing to climb every day. And it's been really exciting to watch. So no, Coach Hogue, he hit the nail on the head with that one as well. You know, our players drive this ship, you know, and with them leading it and where we are right now, you know, this has a chance to be a special season. You know, so when my first interaction with Donnie, you know, from the very first time we met, I knew he was going to be extremely unique in a very good way. You know, there's not much that Donnie misses. You know, he sees everything, you know, and when you go to him and you say, this is the direction we want to go, or this is how we're going to do things, he takes that very, very seriously, you know, and he upholds his teammates to the same standard. So you don't find that very often, especially to the extent at which he goes. Donnie is constantly always talking, communicating, trying to coach his teammates, you know, and then on top of that, he's, you know, a lot of times guys like that feel like they have all the answers. That's not him. On top of that, he's still very much so a sponge, you know, so he's trying to learn every day, and he just wants the best for the University of Houston in this program. And so that's what he does every single day. And it's been really fun to watch.
So when you see him respond that way, and I guess it doesn't surprise you how it translates on the field. The guys around every play, and he was your leading tackler. You see how the guys respect him. All that sort of, he could almost run for the president of the team, so to speak. The way he commands a room or a field.
The way Donnie leads, and in conversations him and I have had, the way he leads and the way he does it, and it's so consistent, for a lot of guys would be very tiring. Because when you're in that role and when you're a leader, there's a lot of things that you just can't do. There's a certain way you have to be when you are in the building and when you're out of the building. And again, Donnie does not miss one thing, whether on the field or off, and he's taken a lot of pride in that, and being the guy that kind of makes sure things are in order.
Gotcha.
Well, for Coach Belk, and my interactions with him and knowing him personally, and now being able to work with him going in for 2 seasons, number one, just his ability to know how to manage people, his ability to know how to relate to players. And then he's very charismatic. He thinks things through. He's a very forward thinker. He tries to get in front of problems before they happen. And then he wants to make sure within his leadership style that he's also developing everybody around him. I don't think I've ever met anybody in this profession that has done some of the things he's done and achieved and accomplished some of the things he's accomplished and still wants other people to receive recognition. He's constantly trying to develop and groom all the people around him. And I think that makes him special. And then he's one of the best football coaches I've ever worked with. He knows schemes. He knows how to attack certain things. He knows situational football, and all of those things go into, being a great leader, especially when you take that part and you can combine it with knowing how to manage people. Well, the beauty about DP.
What is that? How does that?
The beauty about him, and when you watch him and you watch his approach every day, yes, he's not going to be the prototypical defensive end. He's going to walk out there and he's going to be 6 feet, 6'1", whatever he is. He's not going to have the ideal length, but there's not going to be anybody tougher on the football field. There's not going to be anybody more prepared, and there's not going to be anybody more talented at what he does. He defends the run. He can rush the passer, and he can drop if we need him to drop. He freaking goes over and he plays fullback. Like he's a versatile player that makes big time college football plays, and he's done it for a few years now. So and I think one thing that he takes pride in is the fact that he isn't the 6'4", 6'5", 275-pound prototype at that position. But the one thing you can bet your dollar on is he's going to be probably one of the most productive people in this league and in the country at that spot. Absolutely. He's going to strike fear in people when you cut the tape on and when the quarterback says HUD. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And he's going to do that well, and he's going to do that for 14, 15 games straight. I think, from top to bottom, front to back, take guys like Jalen Emery, who's going to be a freshman corner for us that has all the ability in the world. And this is his first time really stepping into a role where we can evaluate him and see where he's going to help us. And Jalen can play. He can flat out play. You take Nadame Tucker at, junior college defensive transfer, came in at defensive end. He flashes, and you can see the greatness that's going to be in him. Jalen GARNER at linebacker, Traylon Payne at linebacker. I think there's certain places, across the board. Antonio Brooks at boundary safety. We're fortunate right now that we have talented depth. Now, there may not be experience everywhere, but we have talented depth that they can learn, and they're smart, and they play hard. And that's going to be extremely beneficial for us this year. So, we're still very much so developing, JG. The biggest area of improvement I've seen with him is his confidence, and he's become more confident because he's understanding what to do. He's understanding why we do certain things, and because of that, he's playing much faster. I don't think there's anybody in our room that has more ability than he does. His whole thing is just experience and the mental aspect of it, and that's coming along slowly. I'm not going to try to push him too fast. I'm not going to try to slow him down. I'm just going to let it happen naturally, and then whenever his number's called, he'll be ready to play.